Hey guys, Q here. I want to take a moment before we delve into this review to ask for your help. I've worked on the Button Smashers for more than 5 years now, and in that time I've watched it grow from a place to store a podcast into a moderately popular media outlet. During this time I've also gone through multiple changes myself with regards to my style of writing, content creation, and passion for the topics that I cover. Most recently I found myself in a bit of a rut with regards to working on new content. This is where you come in. I need some help deciding on what to work on. We create content for you, so I'd really appreciate it if you can spare a few seconds to leave a comment to let me know what you'd like to see more from us here on this channel. I'll be reading every single comment, so spare a moment before the review and leave your suggestions in the comment section below. Thanks a lot, and with that, let's jump into the review. Hey guys, Q here for thebuttonsmashers.com, and this is our review for Yakuza 6, The Song of Life. It's only been a few years since I've become a fan of the Yakuza games, yet it's still one of my most anticipated titles whenever there's an announcement for a new release in the series. I've been looking forward to the release of Yakuza 6 since its announcement, hoping that it would give us more of that Japanese gangster style machismo that we love so much. Well, I've finally got my paws on the game, and I feel it's safe to say that if you're looking forward to this game and waiting to find out if you should pre-order, wait no longer. Purchase it now. Now mind you, when I say purchase it now, I'm speaking to fans of this series that are waiting on an opinion on if this game meets the Yakuza standards. While it does, for the rest of you, I recommend completing the entire review before making your decision. In Yakuza 6 Songs of Life, we continue the story of Kazuma Kiryu, the 4th chairman of the Tojo clan. If you're a newcomer to this franchise, don't worry. The devs have made a great effort to ensure that you are able to catch up to speed on what you need to know about this franchise, even if this is your first Yakuza game. During the first few minutes of the opening act, you get a flashback as sort of a brief recap of the previous games, and a flash forward all in one. Newcomers may not be sure why it is done this way, but the further you get into the game, the more sense it will make. The devs also created a full Yakuza experience website called yakuza.sega.com/experience with backgrounds on the overarching plot, characters and more. So newcomers feel welcome to make this your first Yakuza game, and here are more reasons why. In this entry in this amazing franchise, Kiryu serves some time in prison in an effort to make himself a much more respectable father for Haruka and the other kids at Morning Glory. However, after serving his time, he arrives at the orphanage only to find that Haruka has left without a trace. Being the overprotective father that he is, he sets out to find her in Kamurocho and later in Onomuchi. In his search, Kiryu is constantly followed by the life and legacy he left behind. At the same time, his overly calm yet direct demeanor draws even more people to him. This characterization of a calm yet deadly character is what I love so much about him, and I'm sure most of you will too. Now, outside of his search for his daughter and what comes along with that search, Kiryu also finds himself dragged into a new gang war of sorts. As leader of the new Kiryu clan, he is responsible for recruiting new members and coordinating their battles against other gangs. This all works into a minigame of sorts, and I use the term minigame loosely because the minigames in this game are fully fleshed out experiences that could be their own games. As for this particular one, I didn't really fancy it much. It's much more of a distraction that I'd rather avoid in place of actually controlling Kiryu, busting up thugs and Yakuza in the streets. The game also has some other minigames that I'd like to mention, and remember, I use the term mini very loosely. If you wander around Kamurocho, you'll find these arcades which allow you to play other Sega titles, and I don't mean just watered down versions of classic Sega games. In one of these arcades I was able to play the full arcade mode of Virtua Fighter with all the characters and stages, and then another moment I was getting washed by Puyo Puyo Tetris. If I wasn't playing the game for review, I'd probably just spend all of my time on Virtua Fighter, but alas, I had to move on. Thankfully, the rest of the package is also exceptional. Yakuza 6 retains the over-the-top combat that we've come to expect from this franchise, while giving us a deep, emotionally engrossing plot filled with memorable new and old characters. This time around we got a much more simple fighting style, accompanied by a just as simple level in skill tree. Unlike the previous game, Kiryu has just one fighting style that is a mix of all the styles that he had in Kiwami. This means that when approaching enemies it's much more manageable and allows for much more focus on other intricacies like counters and finishing attacks instead of switching styles. Overall, I like this combat system more, but I miss some of the over-the-top scripted QTEs that have been removed in favor of organic ones that happen based on the moves you use in combat. This means that you can do a boss battle and only see one QTE if you're so lucky. The combat system also retains the flaws from previous entries. There is still no proper way to lock onto enemies, so expect to make distance in crowds before picking off enemies one by one. A bit of a suggestion to the developers would be to mix the fighting style of the Yakuza games with Sleeping Dogs. Combat aside, this is a visually stunning game. Reflections, shadows, water, textures, everything really. It all looks great. Now yes, I can see how they can be improved, but for a game running on the original PlayStation 4 and looking this good, I'm impressed. The game also excels in the audio department. It's all Japanese dub and sounds great. The music also accents the mood of each scene perfectly throughout this excellent game. Moments when Kiryu is about to get into a brawl, the beat speeds up. It's like having tribal drums beating as you march into war, but a few moments later when the scene requires subtlety, it slows to a crawl, setting the perfect mood to incite romantic feelings and sadness.
話が早くて助かるな。酌量の余地はある。冴島隊がおとなしくしろよ。
ジタバタする気なんかあらへん。
くそが、なんで兄弟ばっかりこんな目に遭うんや。
ええんや。後のことは頼んだで、兄弟。お前らが登場会でごたごたの後始末しとる間。
In a way, playing Yakuza 6 is like watching a long movie which you are able to interact with in some aspects. There are even some sections of the game whereby you are treated to some long engrossing cutscenes, not unlike the kind one would find in a Metal Gear game. There were moments when I simply put down my controller, got comfortable, and just read subs as though I were watching an anime or movie. The game also excels in its pacing in a way that only a Yakuza game can. It's possible to run through the entire game and focus on the main plot, but the way in which this game presents the subplots to you, it would be difficult for anyone to ignore them. They're mostly optional, but they're so tempting in the way that they're presented to the player that they don't seem that way, at least not on an emotional level. As you play the game, you want to know, you crave to experience them. They craft a much deeper story, fleshing out Kiryu as much more than a brute who lets his fist do the talking for him.
よし、この子だな。
ええ、入室できましたね。これでライブチャット開始ですよ。簡単でしょ？
こんにちは。はじめましてかな。
おい、話し変えてきたぞ。
大丈夫、普通のことですので。さあ、キーボードを打って返答しましょう。
だが、こういう時はなんて打てばいいんだ。
So with all that I've had to say so far about this game, here's my final verdict. Every now and then a game comes along that doesn't fail to live up to the hype. Usually these tend to be first-party titles, but some third parties like the Persona and Yakuza games don't fail to impress. Yakuza 6 offers a great, almost authentic Japanese experience. Yes, it's exaggerated in places, but it's authentic in the ways that matter most. This replication of some iconic Japanese locations is so dense and filled to the brim with recognizable landmarks that it should please fans of Japan, and with gameplay that should satisfy fans of this franchise and newcomers alike, it's hard not to recommend. So who's this game for? Adults, mature adults who like great games. This game doesn't pull its punches, and you shouldn't expect it to. It's brutal, tantalizing, and all-out fun. If you're a legal adult with a PlayStation 4, then you should highly consider adding this title to your collection. Thank you very much for watching our review of Yakuza 6. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to leave us a like and a comment in the comment section below to let us know what you think about the game. And if you'd like to see more content like this from us, make sure to subscribe to this channel.
Time for a combat seminar.
Round 1. Ready, go! Knockout!